More calls to end racial profiling in California. A new poll by the ACLU shows 69% of voters support a bill by San Diego Assemblywoman Shirley Weber. It's designed to prevent officers from using racial profiling. The measure calls on officers to collect race, gender, and sexual orientation data on every person they stop.
So it's not going to be one bill that magically overnight ends racial profiling. It's going to be implementing a new practice over time where we collect data, we take that data seriously, and we work together to implement reforms.
Weber's bill now heads to a Senate committee. We've heard a lot recently about the lack of racial diversity among police departments, but there's an equally troubling disparity among prosecutors. Kenny Goldberg takes a look at a problem at the core of our criminal justice system.
Stanford University recently surveyed county prosecutors in California. The survey revealed while Latinos make up nearly 39% of the population, they make up only 9.4% of the state's full-time prosecutors. Joining us are Rachel Cano, a deputy district attorney and chief of the South Bay branch of the San Diego County's DA's office, and Tracy Howard, the assistant dean of admissions for California Western School of Law. Rachel, let's start with you. What's the situation in San Diego's DA's office?
Well, in the San Diego DA's office, the percentage of Latino prosecutors is at 13.2%, which is higher than the Stanford study, which was at 9.4%, and actually double of the state bar membership, which was at 6.4%. As to Asian Americans, the study was 11.9% of California prosecutors. In San Diego, it's at 11%. But it's important to note that from 2002 to 2015, that number has jumped from 7 Asian American prosecutors to 37 Asian American prosecutors. As for African American prosecutors, a study from Stanford was at 5.8%, and we're at 4.4%. So pretty much on par with the state average.
What's wrong with the concept of having just white male prosecutors?
Well, I think diversity in the courtroom with peers, as far as your jury of peers, a judge, defense attorneys, and prosecutors is important. It brings trust and confidence in the criminal justice system. And so when you have a prosecutor who can look at something from a different point of view, I think that's important.
Tracy, the Stanford study talks about a real dearth of minorities in California law schools. What's the situation at Cal Western?
Well, we're very proud of our diversity. It's something that we have been focusing on for many years. We have, over the past 3 or 4 years, been able to increase the number of minority students in our entering classes by a slight amount. We still obviously have a lot of work to do, but we are doing very targeted work in admissions to try to make sure that we can increase the number of minority students at our law school.
Is it a situation that there's plenty of minority law school graduates out in the field looking for work, or is it the situation that we're not getting minorities interested in the field at all?
No, it's a combination, I think, of both. We know that part of what we have to do is reach back into the community and try to build a pipeline of people who are interested in going to law school, and certainly doing the same thing with people who are interested in maybe being prosecutors. And so I think there's a combination of issues there involved, and I think it's certainly something that law schools and certainly employers can work together on to try to
And at what stage in the whole process do you think outreach efforts need to take place?
For students, well, we used to think that starting in college was enough. We found that we have to go back further and looking and working with students even at the grade school level, the middle school level, helping them to start thinking about the value of a law degree, thinking about what it means to go to law school, because oftentimes many of them have not even met lawyers, and then how to prepare themselves to go to law school. So what do they need to do in college? How do they need to be prepared to be admitted to law school?
Rachel, let's go back to you. Lastly, what is San Diego's DA's office doing about recruitment?
The San Diego DA's office actively recruits law students and diverse law students specifically from many of the Southern California schools. We send DAs to do interviews at the various schools. We have a very active intern program, a very active graduate law school program. But we also have a program called Project Lead, where we reach out to fifth graders. We spend 10 weeks with fifth graders at Laura Rodriguez Elementary and Johnson Elementary School, and we talk to them about the social issues, and we talk to them about criminal law, and encourage them to think about a career in prosecution. So we start as young as fifth graders.
And you yourself, lastly, when did you start getting interested in it?
I was always interested in social injustice issues, and I think that I went through law school considering social injustice as my career path, and I think after law school realized that a career in prosecution was exactly that as well.
Okay. Well, Rachel Cano and Tracy Howard, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thanks.